want to talk today about improving gross profit from parts department. Most everyone's heard of using parts matrix pricing programs to improve your gross profit margins. Over the years, I've seen some programs I thought were excessive and others that I consider reasonable. My feeling is that gross profit on parts being installed on customer paid repair orders should be around 42%. If your dealership is below that, consider reviewing your parts matrix pricing program. I feel that dealerships must have good margins to offset the difficulty in today's environment for returning items purchased in good faith from the manufacturer. This frozen capital aged inventory ends up being a huge cost to a typical dealer and must be offset by good margins. If you achieve good gross profit margins and you're reasonable, you'll affect the retention. You'll keep more customers. If you get too aggressive, you can really lose some customers. I've seen some dealerships, and really they were advised to take their cost times 200% on every item, regardless of the cost of it, that goes onto a customer pay repair order. Now, when you picture this aggressive pricing, you call up and service department has a air compressor they need for a vehicle, and that probably a $800 item anyway. Then you take the cost times 2, so your regular list might be $800. Now it's $1,100. Your customer looks at that and goes, really, to fix that air compressor? So what they do is they call the local auto parts store then, and they figure out that, oh my goodness, I called Napa, and they're only wanting $500 for that air compressor. What do they think? How do they respond when they consider you a crook now? And so often the dealerships today are fighting that thought in people's minds that the dealership service department is dishonest or immoral or doing unnecessary work or they're too expensive. And really a large part of this, a large part of it is how we just normally do business. No customer of yours wants to be dealing with a crook. That's why I've recommended for quite a while now that dealerships can consider going to a good, better, best pricing philosophy. You see, if we look at the difference of what that factory manufactured part is and what we can get that from the Napa, you find out the difference is in the part. When the vast amount of the money that is being spent is on the part. If we look at the difference in labor between your local repair shop and the dealership, it isn't that substantial. So why wouldn't we offer the customer a good, better, best pricing program that removes the chance of being considered a crook? It doesn't take that long to put that together, and you might create a situation that any vehicle over 5 years old, you use a good, better, best pricing philosophy, you will keep more customers. You will get more approvals. And if you can't express the difference in why you should use the original equipment, understand, make it the customer's choice. Back to the matrix pricing, that's one reason why I feel a well-designed matrix price guide is going to have higher margins than that cost plus 200 at items below $10 and filter out towards straight list after the parts value exceeds $150. Now, you might be saying, well, I want that to be 180 or I want that to be 200 or a number different than that. The reason that I want you to consider being around $150 is pretty basic. If a customer is going to check an item's cost or a price to them on a repair, and they're asking how much, you're going to find that if the item is under $150, fewer people are going to be concerned about that item. But when you get to $300 or $500 or even an engine or a transmission, you can picture in your mind that those items are going to be looked at. How much is that? And when you're looking at a repair in excess of $800 to $1,000 becoming more and more frequent, we have to consider the customer. There's a lot of good things happening on the miles driven, and repair order counts should be climbing in your shop. Cost of gasoline is low, and people are driving their cars more. They're also keeping them longer time. The average age of the vehicle still remains over 10 years old. What I think the dealership needs to understand and just put into a practice, yes, we want to achieve that 42% margin, but we don't want to do it without consideration of how do we keep our customers. How do we give them a value, still deal with this old inventory, some of the different things we need to bring in, an additional inventory that keeps the shop moving, maybe a topic for another call, lost sales tracking, why that is important and what it is. But good margins, fair margins, should be considered normal. What we're looking to do here is deal with the issues and make the department profitable by using consistent pricing. Another topic, another offshoot of this, when you're looking at the matrix pricing on customer pay repair orders, is that I believe the same program should be used on internal used cars. And I know that creates some controversy in a lot of dealers' minds, and especially if you're in the used car sales team or used car sales management, because too many times when they focus in on the price or the cost of a used car, they want to cheapen the transaction. They don't want to do the repair. And when we use consistent practice provided to the used car department, it removes a lot of reasons for, well, I don't want to do much for that when it's a used car, low margin. So then the effort becomes put it on the back burner. Those used cars, by the way, still should have that similar good, better, best repair philosophy. And the use of aftermarket parts shouldn't be fingernails on the chalkboard for the department. The same consideration given to the customer pay repair order. The same gross profit goal should be 42%. Should be using good, better, best practices. If your dealership doesn't have that kind of result, and you look at what the difference of 6-7% margin on parts over the course of a year with probably over $1 million going through that department. Why would you not get involved? Spend a little time. Find out why this Matrix Parts program will improve your result and your profitability and your performance. It will allow you to deal with that aged inventory, that frozen capital that everybody has. There's no downside to it if it's done correctly, if you take a reasonable approach. Now, you might say cost times 200 is simple. It's one thing. It's there. You go. And I'm going to tell you that that's where you typically will run into trouble. If you use a reasonable approach, filter it out around $150 to straight list, I believe you can get a great result, retain the customer, and deal with your inventory issues appropriately. If anyone would like more information on matrix pricing or a sample guide, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to discuss it with you and help your department achieve a better result. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you next week.